When I was gone last week, I created a whole new way to meditate. And I'll be teaching that at another time. But I was drawn to incorporate a couple different modalities into one, and it seems to be working really well for me, and it doesn't take an extended amount of time. But as I did it, I got into the bottom end of that, where I was sitting in silence, and this dream appeared to me. And the dream was that we were all together, and we were being raised and lifted. And I just sat there, and I can't even express the words, because it wasn't like a physical lifting. It was like an energetic lifting. And so I said, I've come to a whole new level of experience. Then I'm getting ready to come here today, and you can tell I'm juiced to be here. I've got a lot to say. I'll try not to speak too long, but I'll speak just long enough. And I go out to start the van. The van doesn't start. It's dead. Well, that's interesting. So I go inside, I get my wife. She comes out. I said, get in the van. She gets in the van. I push the van out, jump the van, and we come. I start to think about, how would that have affected me 3 years ago? See, there's contrast there, right? If you had gone out today and your car didn't start, would you even be here today? Probably not. What I've come to understand that life is, and this was so cool, I love music. You can tell by the music that Steve puts together and brings in these phenomenal musicians that just light this place up. And I'll share with you, I had a beautiful woman send me an email last week while I was in my retreat. And I looked at the email, and she says it was very frenetic. Our service, it was our first service, it was very frenetic. I had to look up the word. It meant it was all over the place. It bounced all over. And I smiled. And I said, that's good. Because that's life. And you're probably saying, what do you mean? And I says, when I was brought up in ministry, taught ministry, I was brought up that you build an energy. It's a smooth build. You start out low, you build smooth, and that. I'd be lying to you if I did that. Do you realize that? Because that's not life. Do you see that life is, can you imagine a graph, okay? This is a graph, right? We've got the lines, the vertical and the horizontal line. And now we've got a point here. And we've got a point, and if we've established a purpose, and most people haven't, if we've established a purpose, it could be here, it could be here, it could be here, right? And then what we do is we want to move as quickly as we can to that point. You're following me so far? Now, on that line like this, the degree that we're above is what? A high, is it not? We're flying, we're in jubilation. To the degree that we're below, we're in sadness, we're in despair, we're in anger. I've been trying to do something in my life, and I realized it was a mistake. And I'm admitting it right in front of you. I just uncovered this. I was trying to keep my highs close to the line and my lows close to the line. So my movement on the line would be like this. See what I'm doing? So I'm gradually moving up. I'm having some contrast on either end. And I was sort of indicating that maybe the contrast up here, that's too much, or the contrast down here is too much. I'm wrong. I was totally wrong in that. The high, you accept it. The low, you embrace it. Because here's the thing. Life is always in balance. It's always in balance. We're just not aware of it. And the key to living consciously is to be in balance. It's not to have a smooth life, but it's to have a life that's aimed right at where you want to go. And then you allow yourself to have the experience boldly stepping the whole journey, because if you're just going a little bit above or a little bit below, you're not taking big, bold moves. You're centered in a fear that you're not going to get there, or a fear that you're going to have an extreme experience that's not there. Here's the thing. The experience you have is only what you create in your mind. This is going to sound terrible to you, and I don't care. I had completely different experiences when my mother-in-law died and when my mother died. I was just sort of a little numb when my mother-in-law died. Didn't have a lot of meaning to me. But when my mother died, I had a really low experience. They were both death. They were both women in my life who had a purpose. Why did I attach to that? Only because I put a value on it. You see, everything is a value we attach to an event, to a person, to a place, to a thing. But you can see that the temple that you are looking for, the laboratory that you are looking for, is you. It is your life, it is your mind, it is your body, it is your relationships, it is your experience, it is your job. Everything that the temple that you are seeking is you. And then it's where you equilibrate your mind that you become godlike. So let's take that idea. Do you love that word, equilibrate? It's a big word. It's a word that's tough to say fast. I've tried equilibrate. If I do it, I'll make a fool of myself because everything comes out. I tried it earlier. I was practicing. Equilibrate. Equilibrate means to know life's in balance. It's to always know, so that when you're having this, you know that this is happening. It doesn't mean you belittle one or up one or another, but it's the idea of knowing. And you see, when you've equilibrated, when you're living equanimously, when you're living in that state, you are the observer. When you're the observer, aren't you godlike? You see, God, the infinite, the divine, the all-present consciousness, awareness, power, does not care. We've been brought up with an idea of an anthropomorphic God. Do you understand the word anthropomorphic? That word means you've given human qualities to something that is not human. Okay? So when you take and you look at how we've been presented Jesus, we've been presented Jesus in an anthropomorphic way. He was human. Or we look at the infinite God. We've given it human qualities. How small-minded are we? You know, maybe when we were cavemen, we had to have that. It was a stepping stone for us to move up in consciousness because you can't go there that fast. But let's talk about here right now, you. Do you need an anthropomorphic image of a deity that's in human form to feel comfortable, to feel safe, to feel secure, to turn to? I think not. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. This is a step beyond. This is about recognizing God, the idea of God, the idea of the infinite at a higher level than ever before. That there's no place to turn to but the temple within you, which is you, your consciousness, which is one with all that is, and all the power that you need to create and recreate your experience is here. We are constantly creating and destroying in every moment of life. In every moment of life. Our lives are like we have a black hole in us. Do you understand the principle of a black hole? Let me explain that. A black hole is this thing in space, and that when it gets near a planet, a galaxy, a solar system, it sucks it in. And because it's got that power to suck it in, when it sucks it in, everything in it gets destroyed, obliterated. And then on the other end of the black hole is a white hole. That white hole spits out all that stardust, all that planetary dust. And what happens? The process of creating a new star, a new planet, a new solar system happens. And so the universe is destroying and recreating itself constantly. You see, it's an eternal thing. When you think about what's going on in the body is constantly shedding cells and moving cells out and recreating new cells. This is happening at every level in the whole cosmos that we understand. There is always a destroyer. There is always a creator. The destroyer and the creator are existing with us in the same time, and it's up to us to equilibrate that and understand that we must have both in our lives or we cannot expand. We cannot grow. We are stuck. We are stagnant. So, I'll give you a simple example. I love this example. I was sitting there as John was explaining this stuff to me, and I was finally getting it. And I watched my old girlfriend go in to the black hole. And the black hole obliterated her. Not physically or that, but from my mind, it obliterated her. And then out of the white hole came a new image, a new possibility that I was able to step into a new creation that became Jean, my wife. You see, the black hole eliminates that which no longer serves and allows it to go out. Whatever was gained from it is put out in particles, it's put out in energy, it's put out in a way that we can recognize and allows us to transform into something new. You see, there is always the eternal process of being created in our lives, and when we deny that, when we want to stay stuck, whoa, that's when we have pain beyond belief. You see, we've got to constantly go back and realize our lives are our temple. It's our experiment. It's our grounds for uncovering, unfolding, of playing, of dancing. You want to make mistakes. Can you hear that? You don't want to be perfect and make right decisions. You want to make mistakes. Mistakes give you information. Information gives you clarity. Clarity gives you a vision. The vision gives you the power to pour an imagination on it, to build a mental atmosphere around it and create a whole new you. That's cool. That's power. But you see, we've got to learn to embrace all. You see, self-love, and this is what we teach at Agape, is about accepting and non-judging ourselves. It is not romance. Romance is one of those points up here. Because I guarantee you, when there's the romance, there's the other side. Been there, 42 and a half years in one. Long time. There's always both. But when you balance them, you bring them into neutral, you see it's perfect and divine, and now you live from it, not expecting it all to be roses. But there'll be some thorns, and you balance the roses, and you balance the thorns, and now you're in an equanimous state, and you're in love. I don't know what else to say today. What I know is that I can promise you each week we're going to go deeper and we're going to begin to build at a higher and higher and higher level. Because what I believe is that we're going to take this idea that we call love at Agape and we're going to lift it to a level that the world has not experienced. And I want you to know that it's not just the people in this room. We have a huge following around the world, and I can tell you I've already taken steps that following is increasing. We're going to be changing. And I want to say, it doesn't make you special. It makes you unique. And when you accept that you're unique, you've accepted your God self. When you've accepted your God self, you're in love. That's what we mean when we say the word agape. Pure, unconditional love. Let's pray. I want to thank you for joining us today. I am so grateful that you took your time to watch or listen to this message. If you found this message beneficial, I would ask you to go to our website. Once there, click on the Contribute button and experience the joy of conscious and purposeful giving. It is through your gifts that we are able to bring this message to the world. I would also ask you to please share this message with anyone you feel might benefit. Again, I want to thank you for joining me and the Agape community as together we bring joy to life.